Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another Gunpla review, and today it's another Harrowpla, and this right here is the Harrowpla Harrow Loader, and this is essentially the follow-up to one of the best Gunpla kits ever released, which was the Mobile Haro. I love this thing to bits. If you do not have one, what is wrong with you? You better get one. It's awesome, it's Harrow, and it's got 2 legs and 2 arms. What doesn't have 2 legs and 2 arms is this thing right here, and this is what we're going to be taking a look at today. Will it compare to the Mobile Haro? I guess we're about to find out. But anyway, as always, this video right here would not be possible without those absolutely awesome people over at Hobby Link Japan. So if you do want one of these of your own, link is down there in the description. So first off, we're going to be taking a look at the box right here. The box art is pretty awesome for what it is. We've got not 1, not 2, but 3 Harrow loaders. Flipping over to the side of the box, there is a front and back image on the first side of the box, as well as the blurb about the Harrow loader itself. You can pause this and read it if you want to. Flipping around then to the other side, and we've got a whole bunch of images of what the Harrow loader will look like. We've got this little gimmick in the claw here, which is a bit of a pain in the butt, I will mention before we actually get into it, but maybe I'm just doing it wrong, but it doesn't work as easily as what it's letting on right here. But a whole bunch of pictures, a bunch of poses. Over here we can see the Harrow itself. This is an upgraded variant of the Harrow compared to what we would have seen before. It can open up, and over here it is compatible with Gundam Build Fighters and Gundam Build Divers accessories and Harrows. So first off, we're going to take a look at everything that comes in the box. That of course is the Harrow itself, this time in a kind of blue and white kind of panda looking vibe. We've got the loader as well as a whole bunch of extra stuff. So these are just the arms and the legs that we would have seen so many times before with the Harrow, so I'm going to move those away. We're not going to look at those today. If you're not familiar with these, this is what it does. It just puts some arms and legs onto the little version of the Harrow. You can buy these guys on their own without the loaders, little Mobile Haro getup, etc. So there's not really much point in looking at that sort of stuff in this review, and we've got this thing to take a look at. This little piece right here, this is for closing up the butthole here when it's just in ball mode. And oddly enough, this thing comes with a very master grade looking base adapter. But yeah, that's pretty cool. But anyway, let's take a look at the Harrow first. So at first glance, the Harrow that comes in here looks exactly the same as the Harrows we would have seen before. This may have been released separately. I haven't seen one on its own yet, so this is my first time taking a look at the new and improved Harrow. This right here was the older style, and they do look similar. This does have the opening flaps up here, the detachable flaps down here for the legs, but besides that, it doesn't really do anything. The new version does have those flaps up here, just like we saw with the older version. It does have the little disconnecting flaps down here, which are for attaching to the legs. That's what it looks like off. I'm not sure if these are meant to be here, but there is some odd recessed circles on these upper sections. This one is a little more recessed than this one, and I'm not exactly sure why, but the biggest difference to the older variants of the Harrow is the opening Harrow mouth with the keyboard in there. So that is pretty cool. We do have 3mm holes in here, so you can attach things in there, I guess for fun, like maybe break a toothpick in half and give them some teeth. Maybe not. But yeah, there is 2 points of articulation in here. That's one down here, one up here, so you can give them a big ol' underbite if you like. But besides that, it's just a Harrow, but its mouth opens. So now moving on to the loader aspect of this, and after this right here, which blew my mind, I did not expect to love this as much as I did. If you didn't see the review of that, I recommend checking it out just to see how awesome this is. It's got 3mm holes everywhere, which is the standard for Gunpla accessories, so you can load them up with a bunch of cool stuff. He's got a bunch of exhausts on the back here, a vernier, and underneath that he's got the standard backpack adapter, and on the whole this is super posable, super solid, and awesome. Everything this isn't, sadly. This right here is hollow feeling, wonky. The shade of orange isn't the nicest. It reminds me of the Cheese Master. Maybe they melted down the extra Cheese Masters that didn't sell and made it into this or something. But it's not as fun as I thought it would be. It's very, yeah, when it says ages 8 and up, it feels like it's for 8 and up. Nobody will ever surpass you. You are the greatest. Anyway, stick that Harrow back into his Mobile Haro and have him stand over here for the rest of the review, looking at this with grave disappointment. So the Harrow just slots into the peg that's inside of that, simple as that right there. This does have a bunch of 3mm holes all over the place for customization, like on the legs right here, on the crotch right there, on both the upper and lower sides of its grabby claws, and around back here we do have a bunch more. So 2 up on the shoulders, 3 on the back, and if you pop off this segment here, there is that standard Gunpla backpack adapter. So my major gripe with this right here is just how cheap and shoddy it feels. The arms are just so poorly attached. I mean, they just pop off like that. We have your standard peg up here for attaching it, but it's just so poorly designed, it just doesn't really fit. So in here we have a depth of about 1.5 millimeters, and you would expect that this little segment here would fit this upper segment here, but it does not. So you're losing a whole 1.5 millimeters of connection from this peg here when it attaches into that hole. So it always just feels like it's barely holding on. Well, the light at the end of the tunnel with these arms is, well, this peg right here, this hole, is exactly what we would have seen right here with this. So that means you can pop off these arms and pop them on like this. So they do fit, and they're 1 million times more sturdy than what we got with this kit. And of course that goes vice versa, because this guy right here can plug in with this right here. This would have been a whole lot better if these weren't as crummy as they are, but it still looks pretty cool, like a big industrial looking arm, so at least it looks cool. But yeah, as for the articulation on these arms, they can spin at this point up here. This little bit of armor can move up like so, back down like that. We have a joint up here in the upper arm, which allows it to move up and down like this. You can mix that with the various points of rotation, so it can move in and out like that. But you always only have that one plane of movement depending on the way you angle it. This peg up here, that can rotate as well. We have a sliding gimmick in here, which allows the arm to move forward like that, then slide backwards like so. So taking this arm off now because it's going to fall off anyway. Here we've got side to side movement, full rotation here. These can move up here and down here, and then this little lever style thing down here allows them to close completely, but it is a little bit finicky and feels like it's going to break. So it takes a lot of effort to actually close this and open it, especially open it. It just seems to kind of get jammed midway, and you feel like you're forcing it a lot of the time. But anyway, this is it all the way open. This is it all the way closed. You can move it closed like that. There is a little bit more kind of motion between these, even when they're in either or position. See, it's so hard to get down. And you think that would at least add strength to this, so it could lift stuff up, but it doesn't. For example, let's try some strength tests. So this sleeve section from the God Hand, can it hold onto it? No problem. Next up then, Figma stand, can it hold onto it? Clamp that shut, and not a hope. One more time, try and clamp that shut around it. And yeah, that's not going to happen. The problem isn't actually this little lever section, it's the give that these have in themselves up here. So that's a bit of a disappointment. And once we get below the waist on this guy, it's just even more disappointment. It doesn't do much at all. Once again, I wouldn't expect much from a Harrow, but this guy right here just raised my expectations so high up that nothing can compare now. Anyway, what we have here is a bit of a ball joint, so that can move down and up like this, rotate round like that. These legs or wheel things or whatever they are, those are on a ball joint as well. They can move up like this, back like this, close up like this, whatever that is meant to be. And on the whole, they don't really do a whole lot at all. So from this entire kit, the only thing I feel is worthwhile is the chest section and the Harrow. I'm just wondering, are they compatible fully with parts of the Mobile Haro? Let's find out. Blah! Of course they wouldn't be, would they? Man, this really blows. I was hoping this would be more compatible than it is. So the only thing that is compatible is the arms, because the attachment point for this right here is just a bunch of pegs there. Then this little hole, which is the ball and socket joint of this. Whereas the Mobile Haro had the awesome design of this little swiveling section in here that's linked all the way up to this ball, and this is not a ball joint, this does not pull off. So that means you can't pull this off and connect it on into this guy, or vice versa with the parts. The next quashed hope was the fact that this section might be usable, that you'd be able to pop these off, pop this back on, and then throw these legs on, and make a cool little buff Harrow, and you know, it looked so compatible. I was like, will it? Will it? Will it? Nah, will not fit. It's just for these weird little ball joints. Oh, I'm so disappointed in this kit. I expected so much more. Bandai, we need more Mobile Haros, not this thing. More Mobile Haros. More variants of this, please. It's awesome. So yeah, in total, I don't really feel there's many redeeming factors about this kit at all. It's not compatible with what we saw before, besides sticking in more Haros, and it's just cheap, hollow, and doesn't look that great. It can't even hold stuff, so you can't even really play around with it, so he's a bit of a bust. Anyway, that right there is it for the review, and I did rank the Mobile Haro Gundarium tier, which is crazy, and I feel it is apt. It fits that kit so well because it's so awesome. However, this right here, I would just give Bronze tier to. You might have been expecting Brown tier considering how much I was giving out about it, but it is fine when it comes as a Harrow kit. Compared to the other Harrows we would have seen, which are simple kitty little toys, this fits in so well. It's just that the Mobile Haro was something ridiculously godlike that came from nowhere and was so much better than I was expecting. This right here, it's just more of the same old Harrowpla kind of stuff. Would fit in with maybe some SD kits or some Hello Kitty kits or something like that, but just not as good as the Mobile Haro. Anyway, if you do want one of your own, there's a link down there in the description. You can get yours through Hobby Link Japan, or you could just go buy a bunch of Mobile Haros. They are better. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews, and I will see you next time.